What's this?
25,000.
What for?
We made a deal. I didn't hold up my end. Your problem is coming back sooner than we expected.
Leonel talked to a guy in Los Lunas. Looks like Tuco knifed the guy, but he definitely broke a guard's jaw. They got him in solitary.
What? All he had to do was 6 months. He'd be in there forever.
Mira, en 11 meses Tuco sale de la cárcel y se va a encargar de todo aquí. Ya sé que Tuco es impulsivo y cuando anda en esa madre...
No, Tuco!
They walked into my house. They disrespected my abuelita. They called her Biznatch! And they just walk! Ah!
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, we'll be breaking down Tuco Salamanca's possible return to Better Call Saul Season 6, along with discussing how it could fit into the Gilliverse timeline.
What's not to love about that?
Warning of spoilers for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and let's jump into it. We know that Tuco gets out of jail pre-Breaking Bad and takes over the Salamanca business from Hector, as we see Tuco running the Salamanca business at the beginning of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad starts in 2008, and currently Better Call Saul Season 5 is in 2004. In Better Call Saul Season 6, could we see the events of Tuco getting released from prison and taking over the Salamanca business from Hector?
You brought me some really clean crystal. Woo!
So, first off, we've already seen Tuco in Better Call Saul multiple times. He was in the first 2 episodes of the show, and he returns in Season 2, Episode 4 as well. As of Better Call Saul Season 5, which as I said is during 2004, Tuco is currently in prison looking to be released in the near future. In order to predict when Tuco may return, we must first take a look as to how he got into prison in the first place.
But from here on out, I gotta be kept in the loop, man!
It all started when Nacho wanted to pay Mike to get rid of Tuco. This all happens during Better Call Saul Season 2, which is during 2002. I love the whole mini arc between Mike, Nacho, and Tuco in Better Call Saul Season 2, where Nacho just wants Tuco dead, but Mike instead goes through the great troubles to get Tuco arrested for half the pay. Now, I could go on and on about how much I love just the evolution of Mike's character, going from the guy who can't pull the trigger to what we know him as in Breaking Bad, from half measures to full measures.
I chose a half measure when I should have gone all the way.
That's not why we're discussing this. The takeaway from this moment is that Tuco went to jail because of Mike and Nacho. Not only that, but in the following episode, Hector then unexpectedly joins Mike at a cafe that Mike regularly visits, and Hector apologizes to Mike for Tuco assaulting him.
I apologize to you on behalf of my family.
Apology accepted.
Hector apologizes on behalf of the Salamanca family and Mike accepts, but this is before Mike is truly familiar with the Salamancas. This whole situation is actually what gets him familiar with the Salamancas. Now, Hector agrees that Tuco should go to jail to learn some respect, but argues that 8 to 10 years is far too much time.
And you know what? He should go to jail. Best thing for him, teach him respect for his elders. But not for 8 years. Less, much less. I would like for you to tell the police that the gun was yours.
Would you?
Hector tries to bribe Mike with $5,000 to say that Tuco's gun was his in order to reduce the jail time. And then in Season 2, Episode 6, after much persistence to get Mike to take the deal, he finally meets with Hector after the twins threatened his granddaughter's life. Mike increases his payment from $5,000 to $50,000, and he convinces Hector to pay him. Mike pays back Nacho the money that Nacho gave him for getting Tuco arrested in the first place, as Tuco will be returning sooner than anticipated.
Your problem is coming back sooner than we expected.
Since this all takes place in August 2002, that means that Tuco could have been in prison until 2010 or 2012 if it wasn't for Mike being forced to cooperate with Hector. Now, in February 2003, Better Call Saul Season 3, Episode 6, Hector finds out that Tuco shanked a guy in prison and broke the jaw of a guard. This causes Hector to get angered, but what else is new? Hector says that Tuco was supposed to get out in 6 months and that now he'll be in there for forever. Hank actually mentions this in Breaking Bad Season 2 Episode 2 Grilled when he's listing off all the crimes that Tuco has done.
Also, we're pretty sure he knifed a Mexican national in '03.
So just how much did Mike reduce Tuco's sentence by? Because from August 2002 to February 2003, that's 6 months, plus the other 6 months that Hector said that he had left, so that's 12 months or 1 year. So if Tuco wouldn't have stabbed someone and had his prison sentence extended, he would have actually gotten out in August of 2003. So he would have been out during Better Call Saul Season 3, Season 4. Tuco's prison time was reduced from a possible 10 years down to 1 year, all because Mike said that the gun wasn't his.
The gun wasn't Salamanca's, that's all I can tell you.
Did he threaten you or pay you off?
Whoa. Okay, that's it. We're done.
And also, side note, I also love the whole Hector versus Mike situation, which leads into the introduction of Gus for Better Call Saul Season 3, and I'm thinking about creating a full discussion about Mike versus Hector in the future. Now, I'm not sure if Tuco was supposed to return once again for Season 3, but maybe he couldn't, so the show writers needed to extend his jail time by adding in this Easter egg about Tuco stabbing someone in prison. So even though Hector got Tuco's sentence shortened due to Mike saying that the gun was his, the stabbing extended the sentence by quite a bit. We aren't told how much longer the sentence was extended by, but only that Hector freaks out saying that he'll be in there for forever.
He'll be in there forever!
Now, what re-sparked this theory in the first place is that in Better Call Saul Season 5 Episode 9, before Lalo flees to Mexico, he tells Hector that even though he's leaving, Tuco will be out of jail soon to help out.
Mira, en 11 meses Tuco sale de la cárcel y se va a encargar de todo aquí.
Lalo tells Hector that Tuco will be out of jail in 11 months. Now, 11 months doesn't seem soon to me, but I digress. Hector doesn't seem excited to see Tuco again, as he knows what Tuco is like on drugs, but Lalo assures Hector that he'll have someone look over Tuco to keep him clean.
Ya sé que Tuco es impulsivo y cuando anda en esa madre... Mira, nos vamos a encargar de que alguien lo esté vigilando. Va a estar sobre.
As we know from Breaking Bad, that doesn't turn out.
Oh, tight, yeah! Blue, yellow, pink. Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that.
I need to get high. Oh, I need to get good and high.
Isn't Tuco entertaining? Now, the point here is that Lalo tells Hector that Tuco will be out in 11 months. Better Call Saul Season 5 Episode 9 happens from May 31st to June 1st, 2004, and since it's at the end of a month, beginning of the next, we'll just say June 1st to simplify things. As I've said, Tuco was supposed to be out of prison in August 2003 from what happened with Mike, but after stabbing someone and assaulting a guard in prison, seems like his sentence was extended to the beginning of May 2005. So to answer the question of how long Tuco's prison sentence was extended for stabbing someone and assaulting a guard, it was another year and 9 months. Now, I don't know about you, but I found it fun to go down this entire rabbit hole of Tuco being in prison throughout Better Call Saul to learn that he'll be out of prison in May 2005, along with all the details why. Better Call Saul started in 2002, and Season 5 is currently in June 2004, so it's entirely possible for Season 6 to end up in 2005, which is when Tuco supposedly gets released.
Exactly. So what's the problem?
Now, there's actually a little bit of discrepancy between, number 1, Tuco's Better Call Saul prison release date of May 2005, and number 2, in Breaking Bad Season 1 Episode 7, which takes place in October 2008, Skinny Pete says that Tuco was released about a year earlier, meaning that he was out of prison in 2007.
Sick crib, yo. You've been keeping it real since you've been sprung. What's it been, like a year?
2007 is obviously a lot different than the May 2005 conclusion we just came to. Now, when Skinny Pete brings up to Tuco about how he got out of jail a year ago, he's acting all casual, saying,
What's it been, like a year?
so it's safe to say that 1 year is just an approximation, not an accurate fact. Better Call Saul is telling us that Tuco will be released in 2005, but in Breaking Bad, Skinny Pete says that Tuco was released in 2007, so this gives us at least 3 options. Number 1. Does Tuco's sentence get lengthened again, causing him to stay in prison for another 2 to 3 years instead of just the 11 months? Number 2. Does Tuco get released in 2005, but then somehow he gets locked up again until 2007? Or number 3, was Skinny Pete just off by a long shot about how long Tuco's been released for? Skinny Pete said a year, but maybe it was 2 years, or even 3. I feel like Skinny Pete might have just been wrong, and that we shouldn't take what he said as cold, hard facts.
What's it been, like a year?
Although it could be a combination, maybe Tuco's sentence gets lengthened as well, but I feel like the discrepancy is just Skinny Pete being wrong. Maybe Skinny Pete being wrong about how many years it's been since Tuco was released is why Tuco was so unimpressed when he saw Skinny Pete.
You know, I don't do business that way.
Oh shit, the deal is done!
You said this was cool. Okay, money for meth, cash up front.
Don't front, dude. Tuco's good for it. I don't need your punk ass to vouch for me!
Since this was Skinny Pete's first time going to see Tuco since his release, waiting a year to see him is already kind of insulting, but what if it was actually multiple years? Not only is that worse, obviously, but Skinny Pete not even being able to remember how long it's been must just be the icing on the cake for Tuco as well. No wonder Tuco didn't show Skinny Pete or Jesse respect, as Skinny Pete didn't even come to see Tuco for multiple years after his release. He can't even remember how long it's been, and he only came to see Tuco when they needed something.
You really want your money up front?
This whole time we've been discussing the logistics of Tuco returning and how it would fit into the timeline, but what would actually happen once he returns? Well, if Tuco returned in Season 6 to take over for Hector as planned, does that mean that he would replace Lalo? Now, Lalo is currently a fugitive on the run from the police due to fleeing Albuquerque after being released on bail under a fake name, but now Lalo is returning to Albuquerque. I assume that Lalo is returning to Albuquerque to get revenge for his failed assassination attempt or whatever he's going to do about that situation, but since he is a fugitive under a fake name, I doubt that he'll be able to stay in Albuquerque long term. Depending on what Lalo does once he returns to Albuquerque for Season 6, there's a few different outcomes that could happen here in regards to Tuco. Number 1, we don't see Tuco because Lalo is back, which is obviously no fun. Number 2, Tuco simply takes over the business, replacing Hector and Lalo as Hector is unable and Lalo has his own situation to take care of. Or number 3, which I think is the most exciting, Tuco and Lalo Salamanca both team up together. Because since Lalo is down a right-hand man due to not having Nacho on his side anymore, could we see Lalo and Tuco team up, possibly getting a scene or 2 on screen together? As mentioned in my last video, Tuco has never been on screen with Don Eladio, Lalo, or even Gus. Tuco returning for Season 6 would be a great way for him to get some scenes in with Breaking Bad characters that he would have interacted with, but we've never seen. What Breaking Bad characters would you like to see Tuco interact with that we've never seen on screen, but would have obviously happened in the background? And which Better Call Saul characters would you like to see Tuco interact with that maybe he doesn't know at all yet? In Better Call Saul episodes 101 and 102, the first 2 episodes, we got to see Tuco in multiple scenes with Jimmy. This was amazing to see since Tuco was killed off in Breaking Bad before Saul was even introduced. And then in Better Call Saul 204, we also saw Mike interact with Tuco, which, again, say it with me, was amazing to see because Tuco was killed off in Breaking Bad before Mike was even introduced. See a trend here? Leave any thoughts and predictions about who you'd like to see Tuco interact with down below. Again, for me it'd have to be either Lalo or Don Eladio, since we've heard both of them talk about Tuco in Better Call Saul.
You had business with my cousin, Tuco. He's got a temper, huh?
I hadn't noticed.
You know, Tuco told me about you. You're the guy with a mouth. Es amigo de Tuco. De Tuco, de verdad. Ah. Entonces estás bien aquí todavía. Ay, estoy jugando contigo. Vamos a platicar tú y yo, ¿eh?
Now, speaking of Tuco getting killed off so early in Breaking Bad, apparently Tuco was supposed to be the main villain for all of Breaking Bad Season 2, but since the actor wanted to leave the show, they were forced to kill Tuco off at the beginning of Season 2 instead of having him survive on throughout the season. Due to this, I'm not sure if Tuco's actor, Raymond Cruz, would want to reprise his role again. As I said, Tuco's actor originally requested to get killed off early in Breaking Bad so that he could go move back to LA. Apparently, playing Tuco is too taxing for the actor. Just Google Raymond Cruz didn't like Tuco, and you'll find article after article of interviews with Raymond Cruz admitting how Tuco was a brutal role to play, Tuco was too taxing, there wasn't anything fun about Tuco, he was happy when Tuco died, and apparently his wife even hated Tuco as well, and much more. I'll leave links to some of these article interviews in the description if you want to check them out afterwards if you're so inclined. I'm not trying to throw shade at the actor. I can only imagine how brutal it would have been to get into the character of Tuco Salamanca.
This kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape.
And, you know, we have to respect actors if they decide to leave a certain project for future endeavors. Raymond Cruz was also working on 2 shows at the time, The Closer alongside Breaking Bad. And due to already being so busy with his other show, The Closer, he even initially turned down his role as Tuco. That's right, the Breaking Bad show creators had to convince him to be Tuco in the first place because he thought he would be too busy, and ultimately he was, which is why he requested to be killed off so early in Breaking Bad Season 2. Now the point here is that after all of those negative interviews about Tuco, isn't it surprising that we even saw him reprise his role at all for Better Call Saul, let alone twice so far, both Season 1 and Season 2. Now you may think that the actor has possibly gotten over how taxing it is to play Tuco, considering that he's reprised his role on 2 separate occasions, but that's not the case. Raymond Cruz still feels the same about playing the character Tuco, as even more recent Better Call Saul interviews have Raymond Cruz admitting that playing Tuco is still exhausting, so it's safe to say that the actor still feels the same negativity about playing the role of Tuco, but maybe he returned to Better Call Saul because of just how popular the character was in Breaking Bad. Having Tuco in the first 2 episodes of Better Call Saul definitely helped the show pick up right off of the bat, giving us that Breaking Bad vibe that we were hoping for, so I'm glad that Raymond Cruz reprised his roles as much as he already has. With that being said, since Tuco's already come back multiple times for Better Call Saul, even though it's tough for the actor, could he still come back one more time for the final season? Is it too much to ask for him to come back just one more time for Better Call Saul Season 6 before the show is over for forever? It's the final season, and they've kept teasing us about Tuco getting released from prison over the past few seasons. I think that Season 6 is the best time to see him again, if we're going to. Having Tuco getting released from prison and take over the Salamanca business in 2005 to 2007 will just be one of the many great ways to overlap the timeline for the 2 shows. Finally, I'd be silly to end off the video without emphasizing the fact that Tuco is Skinny Pete's cellmate, so it would only make sense to possibly see them in jail together.
Hey, so you know that guy we were talking about, Tuco? Turns out my boy Skinny Pete was in the same cell block with him over at Los Lunas.
So we got her in. We're hauling a pound to the dude right now.
So you sure you're tight with this guy?
2 nuts in a ball sack, yo. Tuco, what's happening, my brother?
We've already had Skinny Pete reprise his role for El Camino, so it'd be possible to get him back, and I'm mentioning this even though it might seem random because having a cutaway of Tuco in prison with Skinny Pete has been a long time popular theory since Better Call Saul Season 2 or 3, but will it ever happen? What purpose could it serve? Could we see Tuco sending out orders from the inside? How cool would it have been for in Better Call Saul Season 3 to actually see Tuco stab a guy and then assault a guard, and maybe Skinny Pete could have just been standing around, maybe could have helped him out somehow and gained some credibility with Tuco? I'm not sure. You know, maybe they thought about originally doing that but couldn't get Raymond Cruz back, so they just had to have someone tell Hector about it instead. So what do you guys think? Do you think we'll see Tuco in Better Call Saul Season 6? And if we do, what do you think we'll see him do? What will his story be? And what characters will he interact with? Oh, also, real quick, I'm actually considering doing a Breaking Bad Better Call Saul iceberg video. Maybe one video, maybe two, not sure yet. I have a community post on my channel, so if you have any theories that you would like for me to include in this hypothetical Breaking Bad iceberg video, feel free to go pop over to that community tab post and leave it in the comments, because if I get any comments about theories or discussions that I really enjoy, I'll mention it in the video, and then I'll be sure to credit all the comments at the end of the video. So I think that's interesting, let me know. If you're too lazy to find the community post, just leave it in the comments of this video. Let me know about Tuco Season 6 predictions, along with iceberg, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul theories in general. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything that I've said today, and if you're new here, just haven't yet already, subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay updated on when I post new content for Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
All right? Bye. Call me.
I need to get high. Oh, fuck. I need to get good and high.